For years, diabetes nutrition came with a long list of don'ts. Don't eat this, avoid that, stay away from those foods at all costs. Many people living with diabetes felt trapped by these rules, believing their favorite meals were off limits forever. But here's the surprising truth. Modern research is rewriting the script. Studies are revealing that some of the very foods once considered dangerous may actually offer benefits, helping to control blood sugar, improve metabolic health, and even support long-term wellness. Imagine discovering that foods you thought were forbidden could, in fact, become part of a healthy, diabetes-friendly diet. So in this video, we'll explore 9 foods before banned for diabetics that new research proves are actually beneficial. These aren't just okay in moderation, they're genuinely helpful for blood sugar control and diabetes prevention. If you find this information useful, click subscribe and turn notifications on to see our future videos. The sweetest vindication in diabetes research just dropped from Harvard in 2024. For decades, chocolate was the ultimate diabetic no-no. Any mention of chocolate around your doctor would get you a lecture about sugar spikes and weight gain. But Harvard researchers followed over 190,000 people for more than 30 years and discovered something remarkable. People who ate 5 or more servings of dark chocolate per week had a 21% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who rarely ate chocolate. The key word here is dark. We're talking chocolate with at least 50% cocoa content. The magic happens through flavonoids, powerful compounds in cocoa that improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation. These same compounds help your muscles use glucose more effectively, essentially making your body better at handling blood sugar naturally. Here's the bonus. Dark chocolate also supports heart health, which is crucial since diabetics face higher cardiovascular risks. You might be wondering how much is too much. The sweet spot appears to be about 1 ounce of dark chocolate daily. That's roughly 3 small squares of a typical dark chocolate bar. But wait until you hear about the breakfast food that was completely demonized for decades. Eggs became diabetes' enemy number 1 because of cholesterol fears. For years, diabetics were told to avoid eggs entirely or stick to sad egg white omelets while tossing the nutrient-dense yolks. The University of South Australia just shattered this myth in 2025 with a cutting-edge study. They had participants eat 2 whole eggs daily as part of a controlled diet and tracked their cholesterol levels for months. Instead of the predicted cholesterol spike, LDL levels actually decreased. Multiple large-scale trials now confirm that eating 6 to 12 eggs weekly doesn't negatively affect blood sugar or cardiovascular health in diabetics. What makes this even better is that eggs are one of the most blood sugar-friendly foods on the planet. They contain virtually 0 carbs, high-quality protein that helps stabilize glucose, and healthy fats that slow digestion and prevent spikes. The extra benefit, eggs are packed with choline, which supports brain health, something diabetics need since high blood sugar can affect cognitive function over time. Think eggs were controversial? This next food caused even bigger arguments in doctors' offices. Remember when your doctor insisted on skim milk and fat-free yogurt? The logic seemed sound. Diabetics need to watch their weight, and fat has more calories than carbs or protein. So naturally, cutting fat would help with weight management and blood sugar control. Comprehensive meta-analyses involving hundreds of thousands of participants have completely flipped this recommendation. People who consume the most dairy fat have a 50% lower risk of developing diabetes compared to those avoiding it. Regular dairy consumption is associated with an 11% lower type 2 diabetes risk overall, with yogurt showing a 17% reduced risk and whole milk demonstrating a 13% decrease. The mechanism is fascinating. The saturated fats in dairy don't behave like other saturated fats. They actually improve insulin sensitivity and help your cells respond better to insulin signals. Plus, the protein in dairy triggers hormones that help regulate blood sugar. The side benefit here is bone health. Diabetics face higher fracture risks, and full-fat dairy provides both the calcium and the fat-soluble vitamins needed for proper calcium absorption. You're probably thinking dairy fat is one thing, but surely starchy vegetables are still off limits. Potatoes were basically banned from diabetic diets. The reasoning was simple. They're high in starch, they spike blood sugar, and they're often prepared in unhealthy ways. Most diabetes educators would visibly cringe if you mentioned eating a baked potato. Recent studies from Harvard and the University of Toronto found something surprising. When researchers looked at baked, boiled, and mashed potatoes specifically, they found no association with increased diabetes risk. A 2024 study comparing potatoes to white rice found that people eating baked potatoes actually had modest decreases in fasting blood glucose and waist circumference compared to those eating white rice. The secret is in the preparation. Baked and boiled potatoes retain their fiber structure and contain resistant starch that actually feeds useful gut bacteria. These bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids that improve insulin sensitivity. Here's what makes it even better. Potatoes are incredibly satiating. They rank higher on satiety scales than almost any other food, meaning they help control overall calorie intake and prevent the snacking that often derails diabetic meal plans. But if potatoes surprised you, this next beverage will absolutely shock you. Coffee was another diabetes casualty. The reasoning was that caffeine can cause short-term spikes in blood sugar and blood pressure. Many diabetics were advised to switch to decaf or avoid coffee entirely to keep their glucose levels stable. Long-term research tells a completely different story. Each daily cup of coffee may reduce type 2 diabetes risk by up to 7%. The protective effects appear to be dose-dependent. The more coffee people drink, the lower their diabetes risk becomes. This happens despite caffeine's acute effects on blood sugar. The protection comes from bioactive compounds in coffee that improve liver function and glucose metabolism. Coffee contains chlorogenic acids that slow glucose absorption and improve insulin sensitivity over time. These benefits build up with regular consumption, which is why long-term coffee drinkers see the most dramatic risk reductions. The bonus benefit is brain protection. Coffee consumption is linked to lower rates of cognitive decline, which is particularly important for diabetics who face higher dementia risks. You might be wondering if this only applies to black coffee, but even coffee with minimal added fats shows benefits. Nuts got restricted because they're calorie-dense and high in fat. The thinking was that diabetics, who often struggle with weight management, should avoid high-calorie foods that could lead to weight gain and worsen insulin resistance. This recommendation ignored the massive body of evidence showing nuts are protective against diabetes. Regular nut consumption is associated with reduced diabetes risk and improved blood sugar management in existing diabetics. Studies show nuts can reduce post-meal glucose spikes, and regular nut eaters are actually less likely to be overweight despite the higher calorie intake. The magic happens through multiple mechanisms. Nuts contain healthy fats that slow carbohydrate absorption, fiber that improves gut health, and magnesium that's essential for proper insulin function. They also contain compounds that reduce inflammation throughout the body. The extra benefit is heart health. Since diabetics face 2 to 4 times higher cardiovascular risk, the heart protective effects of nuts provide crucial extra protection. Speaking of surprising reversals, this next category might be the most shocking. Fruit restriction was standard diabetic advice. The logic was straightforward. Fruit contains natural sugars. Diabetics need to control sugar intake. Therefore, fruit should be limited or avoided. Many diabetics were told to treat fruit like candy. A landmark 2013 randomized controlled trial turned this upside down. Researchers divided diabetics into 2 groups. One was advised to eat at least 2 fruits daily, while the other was told to restrict fruit intake. After 12 weeks, there was no difference in HbA1c, fat loss, or waist circumference between groups. High fresh fruit intake may actually protect against type 2 diabetes development. Fresh fruit provides fiber that slows sugar absorption, antioxidants that reduce inflammation, and compounds that improve insulin sensitivity. The fiber essentially acts as a built-in portion control mechanism, preventing the rapid glucose spikes that refined sugars cause. The bonus here is micronutrient density. Diabetics often have higher nutritional needs because of increased oxidative stress, and fresh fruit provides vitamins and antioxidants that address these needs naturally. But wait until you hear about this colorful root vegetable that's been misunderstood. Sweet potatoes seemed like an obvious no for diabetics. They're sweet, they're starchy, and they often get prepared with added sugars like marshmallows or brown sugar. Most diabetes meal plans relegated sweet potatoes to the special occasion only category. Purple sweet potatoes contain anthocyanins that may actually improve insulin resistance. Japanese research found that kaiapo extract from sweet potatoes significantly reduced fasting and 2-hour blood glucose levels in diabetics. Boiled sweet potatoes show lower glycemic responses than baked ones, and they're more blood sugar friendly than regular potatoes. The key is choosing the right varieties and preparation methods. Purple and orange sweet potatoes contain different useful compounds, and steaming or boiling preserves more of the blood sugar stabilizing properties than baking or frying. The extra benefit is eye health. Sweet potatoes are loaded with beta-carotene, which is particularly important for diabetics who face higher risks of diabetic retinopathy and other eye complications. Now here's something that will completely change how you think about this next staple food. Now here's the twist you probably never expected. White rice, the food that's been the poster child for what diabetics should never touch, may not be the villain it's long been made out to be. For decades, the message was clear. White rice is high glycemic, stripped of nutrients, and guaranteed to send blood sugar soaring. The advice? Switch to brown rice, or better yet, cut rice altogether. But then came the Pure study, a massive investigation tracking over 132,000 people across 21 countries. Its findings flipped conventional wisdom on its head. The risk linked to white rice isn't universal. It depends heavily on where and how it's eaten. In Asia, where rice is a cultural staple, it's rarely consumed alone. Instead, it's paired with vegetables, fish, or meats, foods that naturally slow glucose absorption. And in those traditional diets, researchers found far fewer of the diabetes risks seen in Western populations, where rice is often eaten alongside highly processed, nutrient-poor foods. The real takeaway? It's not about banning rice, it's about how you build your plate. When white rice is part of a balanced meal with protein, fiber-rich vegetables, and healthy fats, its impact on blood sugar is far less dramatic. So yes, even white rice, long thought to be forbidden, can actually fit into a diabetes-friendly lifestyle. It's not the rice itself, but the company it keeps that makes all the difference. And if you found this helpful, you won't want to miss our next video. 6 insulin hacks that speed up weight loss. We'll cover 6 powerful ways to work with your insulin to melt fat more effectively than traditional diets. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest diabetes health updates.